Hi everyone, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Anna, and you're listening to We Judge a Show by Its Pilot, a podcast hosted by us, a married couple with an endless love for TV.
Whether you're looking for a new show to binge or wanting to revisit an old classic, let us be your guide through the infinite list of TV shows.
So come join us every Friday as we discuss the pilot for a TV show while also sharing personal stories that parallel the storylines.
We Judge a Show by Its Pilot, where your new favorite show is just one click away. Hello everyone, welcome back to our pod.
Hello, happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Yeah, we are recording today, I am editing today, and we are uploading today.
Ooh, the trifecta.
Yeah, so
it was podcast trifecta.
It was my birthday week, and we
Yeah.
were originally going to record on my birthday, but I just didn't feel like it.
And we had kind of a semi-bed-in day.
Yeah.
I mean, we did have activities.
I really just wanted to rest and stay in bed and just kind of hang out, and I was very tired this week, and so it was very much just catching up on sleep, catching up on household stuff. You were finally home for the week, and so we were doing stuff. We had something to do every day of the week, and we finally have a little bit of a rest period so we can finally record. I actually don't mind doing it this way. Oddly enough, I think it's kind of easier to do it this way sometimes.
Well, it's one and done. We're not recording one day and then it's lingering on your mind and you having to do it another day. So it kind of gives you a 1 day pod work week in
pretty
a
much.
sense. Yeah.
Pretty much. But we're going to record, I think we're going to record another episode today because it's early in the morning. It's finally not hot.
Oh my gosh. It feels nice.
It finally feels good in the house. I can finally turn the AC up. So it's a pretty good day for recording, I must say.
Yeah.
So we are continuing Jeff Month, and we are continuing autobiography through reality TV, and we have now entered. So we've done my childhood. Now we did with Bug Juice, and then with the challenge, kind of like high school. When I really started watching reality TV, which is when I was in high school, and reality TV really took off, and there was a new reality show coming out every other week, which not much has changed. We're still getting new reality shows all the time.
Oh yeah.
And then The Hills was a mix of like my Florida era combined with like guilty pleasure reality shows, which when we kind of listed them all off, we realized we both had a lot of guilty pleasure reality shows, which I guess reality TV is just a guilty pleasure in general.
Oh yeah.
And so now we have entered an era that I don't talk about a lot, an era of my life, but it's the era, the kind of few year period of when I moved back to Louisiana from Florida. It was a very interesting time in my life, and I'll get into all of that once we do the episode and series information. But yeah, so we have a lot to talk about. I think this is going to be a fun little episode. Today we are doing Jersey Shore. I can arguably say one of the most popular reality shows.
Oh yeah.
Of all time.
I mean, the characters from it are
Yeah.
all known. I mean, a couple of the like maybe minor ones people don't remember, but when you hear their names, you're like, oh yeah, okay, I remember them too. I mean, there are a couple that are obviously way more famous than the rest, but I think you know all of them.
Right. So yeah, we're doing Jersey Shore, and we're going to get into some questions in the episode summary, but Anna's going to do what she always does and give us some episode and series information.
Jersey Shore, A New Family. Jersey Shore was an American reality show that aired on MTV from December 3rd, 2009 to December 20th, 2012, for a total of 6 seasons and 71 episodes. The series was created by Sally Ann Salzano, a longtime producer of reality shows who worked on other shows such as A Shot at Love and Disaster Date, and would later create reality shows such as Party Down South, Snooki and JWoww, Martha and Snoop's Potluck Dinner Party, and one of our favorites, Floribama Shore. Jersey Shore centers around 8 young Italian Americans, for the most part from the East Coast, who all travel to Seaside Heights, New Jersey, for the summer to have fun and party. Similar to the format of The Real World, they are complete strangers, but they have to live together, work together, and try their best to get along. The original cast and the cast that remained for the majority of the show's run includes Paul Del Vecchio, also known as Paulie D from Johnstone, Rhode Island, Jennifer Farley, also known as Wow from Franklin Square, New York, Samantha Giancola, also known as Sammy's Sweetheart from Hazlitt, New Jersey, Vinny
Guadagnino.
Guadagnino,
Yeah, pretty sure.
from Staten Island, New York, Ronnie Ortiz Magro from Bronx, New York, Angelina Pivarnik from Staten Island, New York, Nicole Polizzi, also known as Snooki from Marlboro, New York, and Michael Sorrentino, also known as The Situation, originally from Manalapan, New Jersey. The series originally took place in Seaside Heights, New Jersey. The cast would travel to Miami for season 2, Florence, Italy for season 4, but would return to the Shore House for seasons 3, 5, and 6. When Jersey Shore first premiered, audiences weren't sure what to make of it. The cast was unfiltered and were unapologetically vain and superficial. Majority of the people chalked it up to a poor man's real world. It wasn't until episode 4, Fade to Black, aired when Snooki was physically assaulted by a random guy at a bar when people started to tune in. They saw the rest of the cast rally around Snooki and support her, and that was the moment where the cast turned into a family and audiences began to fall in love with the characters. Jersey Shore would eventually become a pop culture success, introducing the world to an entire new set of slang terms, including GTL, DTF, Guidos, Guidettes, Juiceheads, and Smush. Jersey Shore had several spin-offs, including Snooki and JWoww, The Pauly D Project, The Show with Vinny, and A Double Shot at Love with Pauly D and Vinny. Vinny, Snooki, and The Situation all competed on Dancing with the Stars, and in 2018, the cast reunited for the Jersey Shore Family Vacation, which currently just ended their 8th season.
Still going. They're still running.
The cast has traveled together to places such as Miami, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, New Orleans, the Poconos, and of course, New Jersey. You can currently watch the entire series on Paramount Plus and HBO Max, and you can watch Family Vacation on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, so JWoww spells her nickname with a lot of W's, and I refuse to participate in that. I just wrote "wow" as as it's normally spelled.
Yes,
and I actually couldn't remember. I was like, I know there's like a random set of W's in this name, but yeah, I just went ahead and just spelled it normally.
Wow.
Yeah, well, wow. Yeah. So, all right. So this had to have been in like show premiere in 2009. Yeah, so this had to have been 2010 because the show premiered in December 2009.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was working at George's. At this point, I would have been about 25. So this was a while ago.
Yeah.
And I was living in a house it was the house that I lived in with the couple and a single guy. And when I moved back to Florida. Okay, so when I moved to Florida, let me just backtrack a little bit. When I moved to Florida, I kind of just left. I didn't tell a lot of people. It was very impulsive. It was a very impulsive decision to move to Florida. And there were a lot of people that I failed to tell them that I was moving to Florida, and a lot of them just kind of found out after I was gone.
Were people upset about that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I had a handful of friends that were not happy with me, and I did not.
Mostly just because you didn't tell them? Okay.
Like, for instance, I didn't tell Blake. And Blake was like, when I moved back, I kind of had that, and that's why I kind of always joke, like, I came back with my tail between my legs. Like, I'm not really joking. That's, like, very much how it felt. It didn't feel like a failure, but I did kind of have to come back, and I had a lot of explaining to do. And so when I did, I struggled a little bit with kind of the friend group that I used to have when I moved back. I kind of struggled like fitting back in
Yeah.
with them because I had just so much had happened in a 2-year period.
I was just saying you were gone for about 2
years.
2.5 years.
Yeah, something like that. About 2.5 years. And I felt, not that I had like gone through all this stuff and I was so mature, because I mean I was and I wasn't, but I just really struggled with kind of refitting in with my friend group, and there was kind of some that I just kind of realized, I'm like, oh, I think we're in different places in our lives now.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I thought I was better. It's not that I thought that they were better. It was just, we were just in different situations, and my mentality had changed. And so I spent a lot of time, I still hung out with my friends, but I was spending I was a lot less social than I used to be. I used to be very, if you can imagine, I used to be very social. I used to love going out. I used to love going and hanging out with my friends. But I really began to appreciate alone time at this point in my life. But I still missed like having a social life. But there was just something kind of stopping me from wanting to go out all the time. Mostly it had to do financially.
Yeah.
So when I started working at George's, I became really good friends with a guy named Anthony. And then his younger brother started working at George's, and his name was Nick Peroni.
Nick.
And he and I both instantly kind of clicked. We have a very, very similar sense of humor. We have maybe not so much now because he's grown up a lot, but like, and so have I. But like, back then we had very similar personalities. We had very similar sense of humors. We still do, and we both love reality TV, and so that was kind of like our thing that we would always talk about. We loved The Challenge. We loved Real World. We loved all that stuff. He's been listening to. I think him and a few others have been listening to our podcast since the beginning. He still messages me. We still text back and forth about, he'll be listening to this episode or that episode, and we'll kind of have a little conversation about it. And it's really nice. And he's one of our biggest supporters. And so I am very, very grateful. So I had heard, so Jersey Shore, the idea of Jersey Shore originally came from, there was this MTV show called True Life. I don't know if you remember.
I remember True Life.
So there was like I
actually loved that show.
So did I. I loved it. And the one I loved, this is a little off topic, the one I loved was I'm Broke. And it was the people that were like basically it was the lives of people that were living like paycheck to paycheck, like that were really young and stuff. And so obviously I very much related to that. But True Life, I think it was like a summer special where it was like summer at the shore, summer at the Jersey Shore or something like that.
Well, they had all kinds of different ones. Like I remember they had they followed a cheerleading squad at one school or a high school football team in Hoover, Alabama, or random people.
It was such a good show.
Yeah, it was just really good.
So there was one, I think it was like a special because I think it was kind of like a mini series. A mini series where it was like life at the Jersey Shore or something like that. And it wasn't the cast from Jersey Shore. It was just a kind of a random, it was just following like the lifestyle of the Jersey Shore summer, where people usually from the East Coast, I don't think it was necessarily Italian Americans. I think it was just random people from the East Coast all go to the Jersey Shore. They rent a house. They don't rent a house. It's like you find a spot. It's almost like you're renting a room for the summer, and you have to get a job. You have to get a summer job. You have to pay, your own way and stuff like that. And I think it interested enough people to where they were like, we should make this a TV show.
Yeah.
So that's how I think that's where the Jersey Shore originally came from. Don't quote me on that, but I'm like 90% positive. And when I just remember the previews for Jersey Shore, and I was just like, I think I was one of the people who were like, what in the real world is this? This is just, MTV is running out of ideas. Like, I was very critical of it. it seemed very cheesy. It seemed very, of course, it's reality TV. I don't know why I was being so judgmental about it being cheesy. So much of reality TV is naturally cringy. But it just, I remember like hearing it, or like maybe I watched like a little bit of it, and I was just like, this is lame. I was like, this is lame. I don't want to watch this. And so I didn't. And Nick was constantly telling me I should watch it. He was just like, you will like this show. It's really funny. It's the charm is in the cringe. And so I'm just like, I don't know. And so one day he came over to my house and we were hanging out, and just so happens on MTV they were doing a Jersey Shore marathon. I don't know if season 1 had already ended. I don't remember the timeline, but like I don't know if season 1 had already ended or if maybe they were just marathoning it while it was airing, because MTV used to do that a lot. MTV used to be really good about reruns. Obviously, MTV is. I think I read that MTV is no longer a channel.
Correct. I think it closed.
But
like
shut
down.
Back then, MTV was really good about reruns. Not so much in the future, and obviously not now because they don't exist. But so we tuned in. I started watching, and at first I was just like, okay, this show is fine. And then maybe by like episode 2 or 3, I was hooked. I was just like, this show is awesome. I was just like, as soon as he left, I think they had all the episodes on demand. And so back on demand, that was the original streaming. If you had cable, you could go back and rewatch all the episodes. And so I went back and rewatched, and I was just like, okay, I get it. I was like, I get it. It's still going back, and when we went back and rewatched this episode, I mean, it's so incredibly dated. But that's kind of that's how socially acceptable things were back then, and how even and people think that stuff like this was acceptable so long ago. It really wasn't that long ago. Where it was okay to call girls slutty. It was okay to call things ghetto. It was okay to do certain things that now you look back and you're like, I can't believe that was ever acceptable. I can't believe that was ever a thing. Going back and rewatching a lot of these shows has really made me realize that we still have a long way to go, but we have still come a long way. And it was really interesting going back and rewatching Jersey Shore. I had not watched that first episode in such a long time.
Oh yeah, me either.
It's been a really long time since I watched season 1. I kind of always go to the Florence season when they're in Italy, because that's my favorite season. I
love that one.
I kind of watch that season a lot. Also, I've been wanting to rewatch it because we're going to Italy next year, and we are possibly going to Florence, and so obviously wanting to sightsee via Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
Getting ready for it. But so that's my origin story with the show. Did you watch Jersey Shore?
Yes, probably for a different reason than you did.
Okay.
Well, first off, I'm always down to watch a reality show, especially back in 2009 when that was like the heyday of the start of a lot of current reality shows that are still going on. Like Top Chef, Project Runway.
Yeah.
I mean, all of those were all happening. But Jersey Shore, the reason I decided to watch it was truly out of spite against the governor of New Jersey.
Oh yeah. You've told me the story. Yeah.
And so there was a lot of controversy, I think, that was discovered while they were filming the show, that people in New Jersey were very much against the show. They were like, this does not represent us. This is not New Jersey. This is not the Jersey Shore. These people don't live here. They're not from here, which was true.
Yeah.
And so they were just trying to make such a big deal about being against it and trying to get people not to watch it. And I was like, all right, you've convinced me. I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
And I think what I initially did like about it in the comparison to Real World was, in the intro of Real World, you're like, where, 7 strangers try to live together, and being polite and all of that stuff was yeah, Jersey Shore was not that. Like,
Yeah.
they could have given a poop about being polite, being, politically correct, or, guys versus girls talking about stuff, talking about sex, talking about themselves, talking about their looks, about what guys were hot, what girls were not. I mean, it was just full on, unfiltered, like these five, six people living together, and you were just like, okay, that is actually what like friends and people that live together do, and I mean, we hate to admit that, but we do when we're together and we're out and we're like scoping the scene. Back in the day, we'd be like, oh my God, that guy is like so ugly, or guys would be like, oh my God, that girl's face or hair, or her butt's too big or too small, or whatever it might be. But also then I just feel like it was relatable in that way, that it felt like these were people like I could not necessarily live with, but that I could appreciate, because I, like you, I think you tried to be on Real World or Road Rules, and so did I. I tried out for San Francisco and Miami. And I always do wonder, when I watch those seasons, like, oh my God, would I have fit in with those people? Like, would I have fit in with Puck and,
oh my God.
like, or would I have wanted to have killed them, or Flora? I actually think I could have gotten along with Flora.
I love Flora. Still love Flora.
It was the guy from New York and Miami that just was a pompous ass that, like, that I couldn't find relatable. Where these, the Jersey Shore people, I was like, all right, I could get down with this, because, I can go out and party, or back in the day when I was that age. But I think that's what I liked about it. So I initially started watching it because of all the controversy. I was like, I've got to see this show. Like, I wanted to know why they were so upset. Like, how bad could it be? And then that's what I also felt was like, this isn't bad. Like, not in the sense of, I don't know what I thought they thought was so bad about it. Yes, again, they're very vain, and they talk about stupid stuff, but I think we all do at some point in our life. We don't all come out like perfect people. I mean, I still don't think anyone's perfect. So I think that's why I liked it and why I watched it. I mean, I love Snooki from the start, and all the guys. I think Vinny is my favorite. Is that the one that it's not Pauly. It's not the situation.
I would guess Vinny.
Yes. Vinny is the one that I loved. And so, I loved it, and I watched it. I didn't probably watch it religiously. Like I said, I think this was like the start of like all the Real Housewives and all those kind of shows that were just filling our television sets of reality TV. And so, just like any channel, I think they were all just trying to give us content and trying to fill gaps of, I mean, obviously I just mentioned Real Housewives. I mean, here you're talking about the rich, the elite, and then you're talking about the kids at the Jersey Shore. I mean, you're talking polar opposite spectrums of people, and, channels were giving it to us no matter which direction we were wanting to watch. So I think that's what I could also appreciate. I mean, I've lived in a house. I don't know what other questions. I think you do have a roommate question, so I'll wait. But I just feel like it was something that was at least relatable in some way.
Yeah, I talked about, I don't remember what episode it was this month, but I talked a lot about self-editing, which I really feel like people do a lot when they go on reality TV, where they kind of plan ahead what they're going to do, what they're going to say, how they're going to be. And what I liked about Jersey Shore was these people came on and they were like, this is who I am.
Yes.
And I think for a lot of people, they were like, these people are putting on an act. But then there are a lot of other people like me who are like, no, these people, time kind of told on this one. They are genuinely being themselves. They are not trying to, I feel like a lot of times on reality TV, and I'm always thinking of like Real World and Road Rules and The Challenge, where they really just wanted to come across as like really smart, or they wanted to come across as really confident or really smooth or whatever. And the cast of Jersey Shore, they didn't care. I mean, like, they didn't care. I mean, you found out a little bit later, maybe they did play up a little bit on, like, being dumb, or they played up a little bit on, maybe, like, being as superficial as they were. But for the most part, they were just unapologetically themselves. The situation, that's who he was at that point in time. And he has gone back, and they've done, like, rewatches and stuff like that, present day, and they've grown up a lot. A lot of them are married and have kids and have really kind of grown up. But it's really kind of funny going back and watching it now, going back and watching those old seasons now, because, I mean, they really, we do have those moments where we have those dingbat moments where we like where some of us think that 9/11 happened in 2011, and then immediately
neither of us think that.
Immediately realizing that, like, oh wait, no, never mind. But like, they didn't lean into that. They were just like, oh, I just had a dingbat moment and I don't care. Like, and they didn't try to like recover from it.
I also think that in this show, like you just said about the acts that the cast were playing, I think also in most MTV shows, they were filling roles.
Yes.
I mean, you always had, and I'm totally stereotyping and typecasting because that's what I feel like MTV did. You had like the quirky white girl ingenue that was like lost in the world, that she had never experienced life outside of her small town
Southern girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you had like the ethnic girl, either Asian or Latina, who was also trying to find her way and, break barriers or whatever that might be. And then you had like the Richie white guy or the white guy who was also like a country bumpkin or something. And then you had like sort of the quirky other either male or female person that was just the oddball.
Right.
And then you also maybe had like an African American guy or girl who was like the artist or the musician or the writer, poet or something. And they, for at least the first maybe 5 to 8 seasons of Real World, that was the cast.
Yeah.
In some version of that. Jersey Shore just brought us these like 5 to 6, 8. Whoops. God, there were 4 guys and 4 girls. Wow. Okay. I was thinking it was 6. 8 people that were almost all the same. I mean, all the same ethnicity, background. And that was the other thing, where in Real World, some were rich, some were poor, middle class. This, initially, I can't tell you about like their family, but I don't think any of them were very wealthy.
They were very
middle
class.
Yeah. And so I think that was also something that was super relatable to many people. Were like, oh yeah, I don't have a lot of money, and this would be all the way I could live with 8 people, would be in a big ass house or whatever. But I feel like Jersey Shore kind of spun Real World on its head that way, where it was just like, we're not filling spots, we're just throwing them all in.
Right.
And I think that's what I also liked about it. So
Florence, it was your favorite season?
I loved it because I just love anything where it travels and you get to see stuff. Like, I'm really, really trying to think of like Real World when they went to London and Paris. I don't remember like them going out of the house a lot. Yeah. Well, in London, they didn't. They just sat around the house. That was why when they came back, they gave them jobs. Yeah. Because
then they also removed the TV from their. They also removed the TV from
because that's all they were doing.
Yeah.
But I felt like at least in Florence, they were also invested in Italy because that's where they, their heritage was from. So I think we got to see a lot of Florence, or at least where they live.
Oh, they went to a vineyard. They went to all these different sites.
Yeah.
They worked at like a
pizzeria.
They worked at like an authentic pizzeria, which we may have to go eat there. But yeah, I love the Florence season. I also love the Miami season.
Yes, I love the Miami season.
Because that was probably the most drama filled season. And yeah, that had some great moments. The letter. They wrote the letter. The girls wrote the letter to Sammy talking about all the stuff that Ronnie did while they were broken up, and
yes,
all of that. And and then Dina. I think they only had one cast replacement, and that was Dina.
Yeah.
Angelina left after season 2. Well, Angelina gets fired pretty early on in season 1, and she leaves the house. And then she comes back for season 2, and she leaves. And so then season 3, they brought in Dina, which I think was Snooki's friend. Yeah. And she kind of came in, and that was, to me, season 3 and on is really the Jersey Shore that most people know. I think when you talk about Angelina, people, I mean, I think maybe now they know who she is because she's in Family Vacation and she's kind of like rejoined the cast, and she's also been in a whole lot of other reality shows. Like, she really tried to stay relevant for a really long time.
Dina and Angelina are the two that I'm not going to say I get mixed up because when I see them, I know which one is which, but I kind of always forget about those two.
Right.
It's Sammy, JWoww, and Snooki of the girls that I'm like always remember,
Right.
but Dina and Angelina are the ones that I'm always like, I forget about them.
Yeah. And, so definitely, I mean, I love all the seasons, and then the season after Italy when they go back to Jersey Shore, that was a really good season because it was all the drama fallout from season 4 carried over into that season. And so it was just more of the same, but you just kept wanting to watch. You were like, this is classic. This is great. The final season was a little disappointing because at this point, Snooki was pregnant. She was living in a different house. Ronnie and Sam didn't fight. They got along the entire season. Mike was sober. I'm not saying he was boring because he was sober, but there was just a lot. It was really just like Vinny, Pauly, and Dina and JWoww going out. I mean, that's pretty much all it was at that point. Half the cast, they weren't doing any of that. And Snooki was living in the house next door, so she wasn't even like really going out with them or hanging out with them. They were all going over there and kind of hang out with him, like in groups, because the house she was staying in was really small. It was like a little studio.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think the moment that I always remember, because it was the moment that it was the first big moment of the show, was when Snooki got hit by the guy at the bar. We went back and rewatched that episode and the following episode.
Yeah.
I remember the previews for it. I remember people talking about it. I remember they showed you could see the unedited version of it on YouTube. I might be making that up in my head, but I feel like I saw it actually happen. I might be making that up in my head, but like I'm pretty sure I saw it happen, like in an unedited thing back when it was a lot easier to obtain that kind of stuff. So why do you think, I mean, we kind of talked about it a little bit already, but why do you think the show is so popular?
Well, one, in the sense of comparing it to like other MTV reality shows like Real World or Road Rules, and those two specifically, is there was the continuity of characters.
Yeah.
I mean, you were invested in following them because you were like, okay, I want to see what happens next or next season or what's going to transpire because of this fight or this relationship between the two. Are they going to make it or break it or whatever? Whereas like with Real World, there was a new cast every season. And
right.
I mean, until you got to the challenge, like, you didn't see those characters again.
Right.
I mean, we all love the Real World. Let's be serious. We
Yeah.
always wanted to see the house and then in the future, the job that they had that they would fail miserably at because
Right.
they were not intended to like run a public radio TV station.
Oh, that was New Orleans.
Yeah, that was New Orleans. Or, you know, start a delivery food service,
start
which is hilarious because
Miami
now
was-
we have DoorDash.
Miami they start a business
Well,
of any kind.
they tried the delicious deliveries of
Yeah,
like
that's what it
desserts
was,
or
yeah.
like food or something, which, you know, but I feel like
Yeah, that was
it was
stupid.
popular. Well, they couldn't agree. Remember the stupid guy from New York wanted to leave his money to his dog or some stupid
when we
shit?
rewatched that season, because I think it was on YouTube or something
Yeah.
like that, we went back and rewatched it, and it was like the last episode, and they were still trying to like make it happen, and it's just like just go home.
Well,
Like,
and then that was when MTV, so London happened, and they didn't do anything except watch TV. They couldn't do anything because they didn't have work visas. So then they tried to get them in Miami to start a business. Well, when they realized, it took all damn season for them to even come to some sort of close decision, they were like, okay, we're just going to give you
and
jobs.
then that next season was Boston when they
Yeah.
worked at the
Kids Center.
Yeah.
So I think what people just loved about Jersey Shore was just their, again, people question whether or not they were, heightened, characters of themselves.
Yeah.
I think this is who they are. Again, it might be heightened because they knew they were on TV, but I mean, they were not apologetic about their looks, about their clothes, about, their workouts, about their daily schedule. Like, yeah, we wake up, we go to the gym, we want to get shredded or whatever. We're going to, wash the clothes. We're going to also tan, and then we're going to go out, and that's our day. And,
Yeah.
looking back on it, when I was 20, 25 or however old they were, I was like, yeah, we all did that.
Yeah.
In different versions of it. But so I think it was relatable in that way. And
Yeah.
again, I think they were all also just fun people.
Yeah.
Again, they all had, some politically incorrect stuff that they would say. I mean, when it was
Right.
like, who was it? Angelina that walked in with the grocery bag.
Garbage bag.
That was
Angelina.
Yeah. And whoever was like, what the hell? You don't have, someone couldn't lend you a suitcase?
Yeah.
Which was true. You were like, oh my God, you just brought all your clothes in a garbage bag.
She kind of has since talked about that. She was just like, my suitcase broke. I didn't have another suitcase, so I used garbage bags. And I'm not going to lie, when I was in my 20s and I was moving and I didn't have as much storage, I wasn't going to go buy a bunch of boxes. I used garbage bags. Like,
well, that's what you did in college.
Yeah.
You would bring all your stuff. You would like take the clothes off of your hangers, make a hole in the garbage bag, and you would cover it. It'd be like, a garment bag.
Yeah.
And that's what I also thought was funny was, she obviously had them just all dropped into the garbage. It looked like a bag of garbage. But anyway, I just thought they were being their real selves. And I think that's what you could appreciate about it.
Yeah.
Also, like you just said, it was something you had done.
Yeah.
Whereas when I watch a show like any of the Real Housewives, I do not live in a mansion. I do not drive a designer vehicle. I don't have unlimited jewels and handbags and shoes and bank accounts. So those to me are like, yeah, I'm never going to live this life, or
Yeah.
I've never lived this life. Whereas when I watch the Jersey Shore, I'm like, yeah, I've lived with like 3 sorority sisters in a house, or, I've had a roommate and we've struggled and we've fought and we've talked bad about people that made us mad or whatever. So I think they were much more relatable in that way. And I think people hate admitting that.
Yeah.
But deep down, I think
true.
we all we all feel like we've lived at the Jersey Shore in some version of our life.
Yeah. What's interesting is that the original concept was that they were going to treat it like Real World, and they were going to do a different cast each season, and they were going to go to a different Jersey Shore spot, because there are tons of there's like Wildwood, there's a ton of other Asbury Park, there's a ton of other like Jersey Shore vacation spots. It's not just Seaside Heights, but I think they realized that the formula wasn't in the format. The formula was in the cast.
Yes, that's what I said.
And that is why people tuned in. And I think with Real World, I think it was already like built in that they were going to bring in a different cat, because like you said, like we have the Real Housewives now where it's the same cast each season. Maybe they add someone new every few seasons,
a friend
but
becomes a main member,
right? And they have that, but like, sometimes the formula just is in the cast, like it's in the people that they bring in. And I can't imagine a world where they had a different cast in season 2, because I don't think the show would have lasted. I don't think.
Sure.
I think it would have just been like, oh, this is. Honestly, I think it would have become more performative because the cast that followed would just try to be like the original cast.
Yes.
And I feel like I think that's what Real World did for a really long time, where
Oh,
they were
yeah.
just trying to be like, you had the one guy who would come in and he was gonna be like, I'm gonna be the Puck, like I'm gonna be the David, I'm gonna be the whoever, like
Yes.
I'm gonna be this person. Yeah, I think we experienced that a lot, especially. I think one that comes to mind is the second New Orleans season with Ryan Leslie, who is trying so hard to be like I'm the controversial one, which is really weird because he's like a hardcore Christian now, but like,
Oh gosh.
but yeah, like it's just really interesting when you kind of look back on it and you kind of realize like, oh, they were just trying to be like this. So I'm really glad that they continued with the same cast. Obviously, if they didn't, I don't think we would have the Jersey Shore that we know and love. I don't think obviously there wouldn't be like a Family Vacation. There wouldn't be any of these spinoffs. I don't think there would be a Party Down South. I don't think there would be a Floribama Shore. Like, I don't think any of that would have really happened had they kept changing the cast, because I don't think it would have worked. All right, so something that there are a few things that we are never short of, and that is roommate stories, or at least for me. But you were going to say something about roommates earlier?
Yes, I was going to say I lived one summer, I think it was the summer of 92, and I remember that because that was the year that Melrose Place started.
Yes. Melrose Place.
But it was, we lived in this house off campus. It was like 2 streets away from the main campus. In my college years in undergrad, and I think it was like the last summer before I graduated. I took an extra year in college, but I lived with 3 sorority sisters in a house, and it was actually a house that was usually rented by frat guys, so you can only imagine how probably disgusting this house was. But we were desperate because none of us wanted to live in the dorm. For some reason during the summer it was really expensive to live in the dorm, and the food options were always really sucky, so you always just wanted to live off campus during the summer. So 4 of us moved into this house, and it was just a crazy summer. I worked at like the Greek shop. I had my job on campus. I took summer school classes to try to finish up that last summer. And a couple of the roommates, one was Lisa, who you know, and then another girl, Michelle. They were both in pharmacy school trying to take extra classes. And then Lisa's little sis, her name is Stacy. She was also living with us. And it was just a crazy summer. And, you know, we got along, we went out, we fought. It was also the summer of the Los Angeles riots.
Oh, yeah.
It was the summer of Hurricane Andrew.
Oh, yeah.
Melrose Place started, as I mentioned. So a lot of things actually just nationwide happened. And I remember watching the news a lot that summer because of all the crazy stuff that was happening.
Yeah.
So, that was probably the most I've ever lived with anyone besides living in the dorm with a roommate and then living in the townhouse with my other sorority sister, Pam. But the house was probably the only time that I lived with more than one other person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have lived... so when I lived in Florida, my last, I think like maybe 2 months I lived in Florida before I moved back home, I was able to live in a house essentially for free. But I lived with like 7 other people.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a really big, it was a really big house. It was in Destin. It was actually like a really nice house. It was, I think it was like 4 bedroom, 3 bath. I was sharing a room with someone, but I was like kind of dating her. So this is going to sound awful. I was kind of dating this girl because I needed a place to live. I was that guy for a little while. I just like, I moved to Florida, and as soon as Jamie and I split up and I lost that townhouse, for lack of a better word, I was homeless. I was living out of my car. Luckily, I had an Xterra that was big enough. I slept in it sometimes. I was kind of couch surfing. I stayed with one of my friends, Jason Fox, who I don't think he listens to the podcast. We're still friends though. I stayed with him, but I kind of felt like I wore out my welcome because they let me stay there for free. And I felt like I kind of wore out my. They didn't ever made me feel that way, but I was just kind of like, I need to go. I was just like, I kind of just felt like I was a burden, and I just needed to go. And so I went and stayed with these people for, I think, like maybe 2 months, maybe. And then when I finally decided, I was like, I just need to move back home. I was like, I need to move back home. I am out of options. But yeah, living in that house was an experience. It was very much an experience. Anytime we wanted to take a shower, we had to go to the garage, turn off the circuit breaker, and reset the water heater.
Oh my God.
Because that's how much it was being used.
Oh, well, you have 8 people like using all the hot water.
So basically you had to reset it, and then because you would not get any hot water, you had to like reset it, let it sit for like 10 minutes, and then you'd get hot water again.
You try to be the first to shower each day, I bet. Oh gosh.
Yeah, and I mean like, and then as I'm leaving, more people were moving in. It was like a couple, like a guy, his girlfriend moved in, another guy, his girlfriend moved in. I mean, there was one room I think that had like 4 people in it or something like that. Like it was a lot. They were all really nice. It was a surprise with so many people living in that house. It was very clean. It smelled very good. I was lucky enough that I moved into the room that had its own bathroom.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't have to. It was me and the girl that I was dating. We shared that bathroom, and that was it. But yeah, that was an experience. So when I first moved to Florida, I moved in with 2 guys that I knew from Baton Rouge. I'd worked with them at Applebee's, and then they had moved to Destin because one of their moms had moved to Destin for some reason, and she was just like if y'all move here and y'all can work in a restaurant and y'all can make a shit ton of money. Like that was kind of the lure of moving to Destin, was like seasonally it's a great place to work, but once the season is done, you have to have like 3 jobs in order to pay your rent.
Right.
Because
when winter is there,
you need like an hourly job. So I was lucky enough to where when I worked at Chili's, I was a host for a really long time and an expo to go person. So I got paid hourly. So I kind of like, I was okay. I didn't have to have that many jobs, but I still did. Like I worked at a Hollywood Video. I worked for a construction company. I did different things. But when I first moved there, it was the 3 of us, and I mean, we had a lot of fun. It was very much it very much felt like a Jersey Shore vibe where we felt like we were on vacation. I didn't know anyone. They had already been living there for a little bit, so they knew a lot of people. We would have parties all the time, and we got into some hijinks. There was some stair sledding that we did a few times, and pranks and streaking and all that fun stuff, and mooning and all that great stuff.
Other people have seen your butt?
Unfortunately, I was very much a serial mooner. I know, I'm sorry. Other people have seen my tush. She's not going to talk to me for the rest of the day.
I'm mad.
But yeah, I mean, we had some bad times. I'm not going to talk too much. I'm not going to talk badly about them. I know for a fact that I'm not friends with them anymore. We have not spoken since Florida.
So the 2 guys that you moved in with when you went to Florida were from Baton Rouge.
Yes.
Both of them.
Yes.
And you knew them from like Woodlawn?
We worked at Applebee's together.
Oh, Applebee's. Okay. And they had been there for how long before you had moved there?
I would say maybe like 3 or 4 months or something like that.
Oh, I was thinking like they had been there a long time.
No,
see, I don't think. Yeah.
A few months, but they had been there. But they had already like gotten jobs. They'd already like made friends. They'd already done all that.
And then they convinced you to move.
Yeah, I mean, like I remember. So I had gone through. I dated this girl for a really long time, and then we broke up, and then I kind of rebounded into another relationship, and then that ended spectacularly bad, to a degree where it was just another situation where she she kind of made me look dumb. She kind of made me look like, the way the breakup ended, I very much looked like the fool. I felt very embarrassed. It was just a really bad breakup. And I had one of my friends had just had his 21st birthday, and I went to his house, and I just remember sitting there the whole time just being like, I was really depressed, and I was just really just kind of like, what am I doing with my life? And I was 21, so I had my whole life ahead of me, but it was just kind of like, I'm not, all of my friends around me, they're all going to college, they're all joining the military, they're doing something, and I just felt like I wasn't doing anything. I just felt like my life was just kind of pointless at that time.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I just want to do something. I just want to do something. I was like, I just want to do something different. I want to do something. Like I was ready for a change in my life, and I was ready to change up my life. And I came home that night, and it was probably really late. I logged into MySpace, and I got a message from one of the guys that had moved to Destin, and he was saying like, "Oh, you need to come visit. We just got a new townhouse and all this." And I was just like, man, I might go there and just never come back. I said something like that. I might go hang out with y'all, but I'm afraid I'll never want to come back, or something like that. And then he just wrote back. He was like, well, we need another roommate, ... kind of thing. And I'm just like, okay. It was just like, I'm in. My mom was awoken the next day to, I'm moving to Florida. So my mom was very much like, okay, what? My mom had just kind of moved back from traveling. So
Yeah.
she was a contract nurse at the time, and she had just kind of moved back. I think she was trying to sell our house, and she was just trying to organize some things. In the middle of all that, I'm like, I'm moving to Florida. And she was very, she wasn't upset, but she was just very much like, this is very sudden. This is very, and basically it was like, I'm moving to Florida. Maybe the next day or the day after, I went to Destin to check out the house and drive around. I remember getting interviewed at the restaurant that they worked at, and I ended up not getting a job there. But and then I went back to Louisiana. 2 weeks later, I've moved to Florida. So it was it was a big deal, and it was a big. I remember packing my bags. I remember loading up my car, and I remember thinking in the back of my head this is what moving is. I'm like, this is what moving is. I was like, this is. I think what a lot of people experience when they first go to college, I was experiencing for the first time at 21.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
I said this was your moving out to college
right.
version, because you did not go to traditional college,
Yeah.
and you never lived in a dorm and had to pack up all your stuff. Yeah. And then this was that version for you. Yeah.
And I moved there, and at first it was a lot of fun, and we had a lot of fun together. And then things turned a little sour. I'm not going to put all the blame on them. I'm certainly not going to put all the blame on me. It was a collective effort. We were all really young. I think they thought they were grown-ups, and they thought they were mature, and they thought that they were running things. And looking back on it, we were all kids, and we were all very immature. And it just kind of started going south. It was just very clear that we were different people, and we valued different things. I think that they were, like I said, I know they're not listening to this, so I don't mind saying this, but they were very shallow, and they were very, I did not like the way they treated women. I did not like the way that they talked about women. It was very misogynistic. It was very, made me feel uncomfortable a lot of the times. And I remember it was when I first met Jamie. I started working at Hard Rock Cafe, and that's where I met Jamie. And then I came home one morning, and all of my stuff was in my car. And they left a note saying that I was the worst roommate ever, blah, blah, blah. And I really didn't understand, because I was just like, I pay y'all every month. I'm never there. So, I mean, you can't say I'm a bad roommate. I'm never there, and I'm still paying y'all everything. I'm not late on it. And I don't know. I will never know the full story, but I did find out later from one of the girls that one of the guys, like, I guess, was like kind of dating. One of my roommates was like kind of dating. She ended up coming up to Chili's specifically to like look for me and to like talk to me, because she was just like, look, you didn't do anything wrong. She was just like, one of them, I don't know what it was. It was when it was a lot easier to buy certain types of pills and drugs online and get them delivered to your house. I don't know if you could still do all that stuff now, but basically he was living off of smoking weed, protein shakes, and these diet like phentermine or Adipex,
like Dextrose,
but it was like
online,
but it was like
prescription strength
from Asia, being delivered from China, kind of thing, like basically like a pill form of like methamphetamine or like meth or methamphetamines or something like that. And so he was just like living off, and I didn't know this at the time, but that's like all he was consuming. So there was a lot of like delirium. There was I wasn't there for this, but there was one time where the other roommate, I don't want to give names, but the other roommate like had left like a couple of dirty dishes in the sink, and the one that was on all the drugs went and took all the dishes and threw them in the dumpster. I wasn't there for that, but like they eventually parted ways too, and they're not friends anymore.
So why did she come up to Chili's?
I think she felt bad, because me and her got along. We were cool with each other, and I think she felt bad that what all happened to me, because she kept telling me, she was just like, you didn't do anything wrong. I don't know what was going through their heads, but like it was the guy that was on the drugs kind of took charge on this, and the other roommate was just kind of like
went along with it
because he didn't know what else to do or say about it. And I think they also had someone that they wanted
to move in.
And yeah, so I dodged a bullet, I would say, because things got way worse from what I was told. There were other things that happened that I'm not going to dive into, just because I don't have the full story, and I also wasn't there. But yeah, I dodged a bullet, but we still had some good time before all that. We still had some good times.
But I think that's what also, when you have roommates that you sort of know, but you don't fully know, that's what you discover in being a roommate, or all of these things about them that you're like, oh, well, I thought you were kind of cool, but I've now learned that you're a psychopath, or like a drug user, or, and that happens in any aspect of your life, dating someone, marrying someone, living with someone. But yeah, that is, to me, real life too.
Yeah, and I mean, I've had good roommates, I've had bad roommates, I've had a lot of fun, I've had a lot of bad times, but I feel like every roommate situation I've ever been in, things eventually went sour at some point. I would say being roommates with Blake, we parted ways on good terms, and that's about it. That's about the only. And well, we're not roommates. We're
we're married.
We're married. Yeah, I'm gonna start calling you my roommate.
Roomie schmoomy.
All right, let's get into this plot summary.
Let's do it. We've been gabbing.
All right, Jersey Shore plot summary. The scene opens in Johnston, Rhode Island, and Pauly D is introduced and tells us that he is your girl's favorite DJ and gets other guys' girls. In Poughkeepsie, New York, Nicole, or Snooki, says that she loves Guidos, which are just Italian Americans. I think that's just what a Guido is. She says that she is a loudmouth. In Manalapan, did I say that right? Manalapan, New Jersey, Mike, the situation, shows off his abs, of course, the thing that his trademark is lifting up his shirt and showing everyone his abs, and says that girls love Guidos. He says that he works out 5 times a week, and in Hazlitt, New Jersey, Sammy Sweetheart is introduced, and she says that she is ready to break hearts. She loves looking good, and she calls herself a Guidette and loves Guidos.
Guidos and Guidette.
In Staten Island, New York, Vinny is a total mama's boy, which is another kind of part of his character. And he is a generational Italian. He is Sicilian, I believe. He says that he is going to have fun in the Jersey Shore. This is his first. He's 21. He like just turned 21, I think. He just graduated from college. Like he is like prime Jersey Shore. He's never really like been away from home and stuff like that. I think he was going to go to law school. I think it was like he had gotten accepted into law school at the same time that he was cast on Jersey Shore. So he had to choose, and he chose Jersey Shore. No offense, my boo, but I think this was a better decision than law school.
Oh, yeah.
I know, just because you're, so in Long Island, New York, Jenny, or JWoww, tells us that she is a praying mantis. After she has sex with a guy, she will rip his head off. That was her stinger in the opening credits.
Right. I mean, and this is just first impression. So like that's what was really different than any other like real world where they're all trying to be nice and talk about their careers and what they've been doing post college. Here she's like, yeah, I screw a guy and I rip his head off. Like, okay.
She said she has a bad habit of playing games, and she says that girls can't compare to her. In Bronx, New York, Ronnie is there, and he says, and this is my favorite because this is such a like foreshadowing of his entire story arc throughout the entire series. He says that you never fall in love in the Jersey Shore. In Staten Island, New York, Angelina says that she is very friendly and outgoing. She has a boyfriend and says that she is going to show what it means to be a Guidette. And she basically says like, if she has a boyfriend, but if she meets a guy she thinks is cute, she'll break up with her boyfriend and hook up with him. So I don't think the commitment was very strong in that one. The roommates drive to the Jersey Shore, and they arrive at Seaside Heights. They meet up at the house. Mike is there first. Pauly D comes in next and meets Mike. They click right away and decide they want to be in the same room. Sammy comes in, and automatically Sammy and Mike hit it off. So I don't know if they ever discuss it, but they had both been to the Jersey Shore before, and they kind of knew each other. Oh. Like it was like acquaintances, friend of friends kind of thing. He offers her he offers her a space in his and Pauly D's room. She says that she will. Vinny arrives next, and he has a choice to bunk by himself or with someone. Always take the room by yourself. If you're sharing a room with all these people and there is a single, you take that single.
Take the single.
Nicole comes in and automatically gets to know everyone and asks for drinks. Party's here. Her signature, her famous entrance. Ronnie comes in, and Vinny says that he is the smallest one there compared to all the guys. And lastly, Angelina comes in carrying garbage bags. And now that everyone has arrived, they feel that they are finally going to have a fun time. Danny, the landlord, comes in and tells them that they are going to be working for him and living there. He tells them that if they show up to work drunk or late, then they are fired. So they work at the t-shirt store is what they call it. I don't actually know the name of the store, but basically a very touristy airbrush t-shirts and souvenir shop and stuff like that. He must be making so much money now. That I think I read that the Jersey Shore house, you can rent it and it's like $5,000 a night or something like that, or $2,500 a night or something like that.
For Airbnb, yeah.
The roommates get to know everyone. Nicole gets drunk and starts to have a good time. She starts rubbing herself on all the guys in the house, and when they ignore her, she becomes normal Snooki, Little Miss Drama Queen, and goes upstairs on the deck bed and just kind of pouts. The boys take to the hot tub, and Nicole gets into the jacuzzi and starts to get on all the men again. The other girls are disgusted with the fact that Nicole is in her bra and thong in the jacuzzi, which is the same as a swimsuit, so I don't understand why they're being such haters. The boys talk about how Nicole is a very typical Jersey girl, even though she's not from Jersey. I don't understand what they meant by that, but Nicole passes out while everyone leaves. Another signature Snooki move. Nicole wakes up and calls her dad since the rest of the roommates are at a carnival. Sammy and Mike hook up by holding hands, and the entire time Nicole keeps trying to figure out the phone in the house. The duck phone. The duck phone. I don't think they ever... I think after 6 seasons, they never fully figure out that phone. Jenny's boyfriend keeps calling, which is really interesting because Jenny failed to tell anyone that she has a boyfriend. Also shows you that commitment right there. I think they broke up by the end of the season. The roommates get back, and Nicole tells Jenny that her boyfriend called. Everyone is shocked because she didn't mention that she had one. There is also, I don't think it's in this episode, but maybe an episode or two later where Pauly and JWoww almost hook up. The next day, the group wakes up, and Nicole is sick in the bathroom from partying too much, while the rest of the roommates leave to go meet Danny. They arrive at the t-shirt shop, and Danny asks where Nicole is. Later, Nicole comes into the shop. Danny says that this is her one chance. I'm going to give you this one. It's your first night in Jersey. I know you want to have fun, but you can't be late, which, once again, I think they were always late for this job. I think Danny knew he couldn't fire all of them. He knew that there was a show to be filmed.
Yeah.
And so he tolerated a lot. They come back, and Nicole wants to know why they are shutting her out. She says that she doesn't want to be the unpopular one. Sammy says that she didn't want puke breath on her. She says that she wants to be liked. Sammy and Mike still hit it off, and Mike cooks dinner. So they're kind of alluding. It's really interesting because they were first alluding that Sammy and Mike were going to get together, which is really interesting because Sammy and Ronnie are obviously the popular couple from the show. But I kind of forget that originally there was a little bit of a love triangle in the beginning of the show. At dinner, Nicole says that she is sorry and wants to have fun. Sammy says that she appreciates that, and they say that all is forgiven. Later that night, Pauly D and Mike wanted to go fishing for girls and see 3 girls down in the street and invite them in. They go in the hot tub, and Angelina and Sammy want to go up there and spy on the boys, but Ronnie tells them not to. They go upstairs anyways to watch the boys, I guess, hook up with these girls. Mike sees that Sammy is still there and is hesitant to get with the girls. He gets out of the hot tub, and Sammy tells him that she doesn't care what he does with other girls. He goes back in the hot tub, and one of the girls takes off her bra and underwear. Jenny gets in downstairs, and Angelina and Sammy talk about the guys in the jacuzzi with some random girls. The guys, after the random girls leave, the guys go downstairs, and when the guys get back inside, the girls are not happy about girls taking off their underwear in the jacuzzi. The girls try to come back, and the other roommates tell them to leave. They say that this is the same if they bring a guy and wouldn't want to see them kissing. Ronnie tells them that this is why he told them not to bring in the girls. Ronnie kind of had a good point. He was just like, the other girls may not like these strange girls being in the house. They're getting naked in the jacuzzi. There's pathogens, and there are germs to be spread. Just because it's a hot tub doesn't mean it's automatically sanitary. She says that, I was going to say
Legionnaire's disease, famous.
So they're all kind of fighting. Angelina especially is kind of calling out the guys for bringing random girls into the house. You don't know who these girls are. Obviously, they were cleared by production, but that doesn't mean anything. They could come into the house. They could steal something. They could come in and try and start a fight. You don't know what these girls are capable of, especially girls and guys that see the cameras, maybe want to be on TV. You saw that a lot on Real World, where girls would come home with the guys because they wanted to be on TV, or vice versa with guys. So they're fighting. Nicole is in her room, and for some reason, she thinks that they're talking about her. I don't understand fully the state of mind that she was in. I'm assuming that she was intoxicated and she didn't fully know what was going on. So she thinks that they're talking about her. So Nicole calls her dad and tells him that she thinks she's going to leave. She says that she messed up, but he says that she is not a quitter. The girls go in and see Snooki packing her bags, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And she's just like, "I'm leaving. No one likes me." They're trying to tell her, "We like you. We don't know where this is coming from. Don't leave." But she says that she feels that she needs to go home. End of episode. To be continued. Spoiler alert, Snooki doesn't go anywhere, obviously, because then there wouldn't be a Snooki. We wouldn't be talking about Snooki still to this day. So that's the first episode. I think I got all the basics covered. Very simple opening. More chaos ensues. There's a lot more relationship dynamics. There's a lot more rivalries and hookups and fights and all that stuff. But for the first episode, I have to say that's a pretty good intro. You very quickly get to know these people. You very quickly get to know what they're about, and you very quickly understand throughout the first season that they are not putting on an act. That this is very much their personalities,
unapologetically themselves. Yeah,
and I got to appreciate that, and I love that. And so Jersey Shore, it's on Paramount Plus. Nick, if you're listening, this one's for you. And
hi, Nick.
So yeah, I think that wraps up this one. All right, thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on whichever platform you're listening to this podcast on. That way you'll be notified every time we publish a new episode. You can also follow us on Instagram at We Judge Pilot Pod. We're also on Facebook. You can leave us a comment, suggest a show for us to watch, or leave some emojis in the comments. What you got?
I have the sun and the beach. I have any of like the sort of people emojis that are tan.
Okay.
The drinks, the weights, t-shirts, the luggage, the duck and the phone.
Nice.
The heart, the drunk emoji, the vomit emoji, the clock, the bikini because of their bra and underwear, and then the Italian flag.
Nice.
All right. Well, we are going to head out, but we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening.